Good morning. Hi, welcome to Pinky Mouse Sisters in the Kitchen. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to get on here. I hope that everybody is having a wonderful morning. I hope that y'all are staying cool. It's a little bit cooler here. I think it was 66 this morning, which we welcome those little lower temperatures. 10 degrees makes a lot of difference in East Texas, and I'm sure it does in other places too. Y'all notice that Mary is not with me today. She's been dizzy for the last several days. And if one thing y'all know about the Pinkston kids, we have to make up our own mind to say no. Can't nobody do it for us. And we all know we're like that. And it worries us when one of us keeps going when we feel like they need to stop and rest. But Mary finally gave in and said that she's going to take today off and try to get to feeling better. So y'all remember her. I miss her. I know y'all miss her. And the shows aren't the same when we do them by ourselves. But we hope that, I hope y'all got something that y'all be interested in making today. And so I want to thank everyone that's joined us today. We're going to be making apple walnut cinnamon muffins. And I'm going to make something else too after we get these in the oven. I'm going to make us a sandwich for, I don't know, late breakfast, early lunch, whatever you want to call it. If as you get older, your eating habits change. And while your weight doesn't change, or it does change, it goes up, but usually don't go down. At least it doesn't go down on me, but you don't eat as much. You don't eat 3 meals a day like we did when we were younger. So we either eat a breakfast, a late breakfast, or an early lunch, and then our main meal of the day, usually before 5 o'clock, because we don't like to eat late. So what we're doing today, I'm going to make the, got the oven preheated to 400. I've got my pan sprayed, so ready to put my muffins in it. And I'm going to make the crumble first. So I've got my ingredients. I think I've got them all measured out here. For the crumb topping, we've got a half a cup of all-purpose flour. We'll get that in there. And we got a 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar. We use imperial sugar, so a 1/4 cup of that. And a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm using my good Corriente cinnamon. And it hasn't come out yet, but if you like cinnamon, you know you have to stock up on it because we don't carry that year round. It's just in the fall. So I'm gonna mark I've got my little erasable highlight pen here. I'm gonna check off my flour, my sugar. We have a tablespoon of extra fine imperial granulated sugar. So 2 sugars. We've got a 1/4 cup of packed cup of brown sugar. We got a tablespoon of granulated sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a cup of flour, and 4 tablespoons of melted butter. So here's my melted butter. Let me get those comments swiped off of there. I forgot to do that. When it's one person doing this, you try to be prepared. You try to have everything ready, but for some reason, there's something you always forget. So, wipe my hands off here. I had a paper towel that I could do that with, so I got them washed off. So, you'll see my stuff here. I'm just going to mix this together. Just kind of mix it with my little mini scraper here. And remember, this is a crumb. It's a crumb topping. And I'm adding a half a cup. I want to get that butter in all of it, so I'll show you when I get it all mixed up. And I'm using the large muffin pan today, so I'm not making 12. I'm making 6 big ones. I think they look real pretty, so you'll see it's a crumb consistency. I toasted these walnuts, and walnuts are good for you. They've got good fats in them, so don't be afraid to add walnuts to something like this, a muffin or something, to give it some extra flavor. If you're allergic to nuts or you don't like walnuts, leave them out. That's just simple as that. So I'm gonna just kind of mash all this together, and then I'm going to set this in the refrigerator while I'm mixing up my batter. I think I got this right. This is going to be a generous amount to go on top. And when I want a crumb topping, I don't want just a little sprinkle. I imagine that's probably a cup and a half. These bowls have measurements on them. I imagine that's about a cup and a half. So I'm going to, give me just a second. I'm going to stick this in the refrigerator. Put a piece of plastic wrap over it. Y'all know every time I get up I have to wash my hands. It's just something I just do. Y'all can, some people might say I'm obsessed with it. I don't know, but I wash my hands every time I get up. I've got 2 large eggs, and I've broken them and let them set out at room temperature. And I'm gonna just give them a quick whisk. Noisy, I know. Okay, and when I got up, I should have got the butter in there that I had cooling, so give me a second here. If you've never cooked on camera, you don't realize how many times you are walking from one place to the other. This is, let's see, how much butter do we have in here? Let me get my little pen out so we can check this out. I'm doing the wet ingredients, then I'm going to do the dry ingredients. So I've got 2 large eggs. I've got, where's my butter at? I've got, for some reason, ½ a cup of butter. I knew it was a ½ a cup, but I was trying to find it so I could mark it off. So I'm going to pour that in the eggs. This is melted, but it's cool because you don't want to scramble your eggs. So I'll set this aside here. And we've got 3/4 cup of buttermilk, and I'm going to, this is a little more than 3/4, so I'm going to pour a little bit of it off. Again, I didn't have any buttermilk on hand, so I used some lemon juice in regular whole milk. Let's see if this is about 3/4 of a cup. Yeah, so I'm going to pour that in there, because we're doing all of our liquids together, and then we're going to do our dry ingredients. So mix this up, put in our vanilla. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Make sure when you're baking you use real vanilla. I know it's expensive, but it's so much worth it if you use the real stuff. And once we get our double strength back in Pampered Chef, I'll be using that. I've got 1 bottle, but I'm kind of saving that for emergency in case I don't get the other in time for holiday baking. So I'm just using McCormick. I like Watkins. I like Watkins vanilla. But again, you have to get that at certain places, and I have to go somewhere to get it. So I don't have any on hand right now. So we got our buttermilk in there. We got our vanilla in there, and I believe that's all of our liquid ingredients. Okay, we're going to set this aside here, and then we're going to mess up another bowl, and we're going to get our dry ingredients in there. So, get my flour canister over here, and we're doing 2 cups of flour. This is all-purpose flour. I just take it straight out of the canister. If I can move this over just a hair here. I keep a measuring cup and a leveler in my canister just to keep from having to get one out every time. So that's 2 cups. I mean, that's 1 cup. And this is 2 cups. Okay. These are so handy just to stick right in your canister and you're done with it. And then, so we'll mark this off. We got the flour in there. We're going to do a ½ a cup of packed brown sugar. And again, we're using imperial sugar. So we want a 1/2 cup of this. Muffins aren't real sweet. They're just a really good treat that you can put, you know, you can have in for breakfast with coffee, or you can put it in a lunch, or have it for an afternoon snack, or you probably wouldn't want to put a big one in a kid's lunch, but you could do mini ones, or you could just do the regular size ones and put in a kid's lunch to have a little treat at school. So we got our brown sugar, we got 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. And did I use my 1/4 cup? I think I did. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to use, no, that's dirty. I'm not going to use that. Hold on just a second. I don't like putting a dirty measuring cup in something that I'm going to use again, so I just got a clean one. So this is a 1/4 cup of extra fine granulated sugar. So I'll check this off. And then we want a teaspoon of baking powder. And I need to wipe this off because this is wet. Okay, so a teaspoon of baking powder. This happens to be Clabber Girl. You can use store brand also. And then we're also going to use a teaspoon of baking soda. Now you may wonder why it asks for 2. A lot of recipes do call for baking powder and baking soda. These are both leavening agents. And baking soda kind of works with buttermilk, and I expect that's probably why this is in the recipe. So we got the baking powder, and I'm going to do a tablespoonful of cinnamon. I'm using our good cinnamon. This is my last jar of it. So I'm sure hoping this is going to be out soon because this is good stuff. Okay. I got a tablespoon of our good cinnamon. This is a kind of cinnamon that chefs use, and it's worth every penny that you pay for it. And then we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So we got that. And I didn't get the allspice out. Let me grab some allspice. Okay, so Mike rearranged the spices the other day, and the allspice is in the back. I'm not going to go in there and get my stepladder to get it down, so we're just going to put another sprinkle of cinnamon in it. And I could use the cinnamon plus, but it's got a couple of ingredients in it that I don't want to put in here, so I'm just going to put a sprinkle more of cinnamon in it. And a lot of people don't keep allspice anyway because it's something that will get old. We threw away a lot of old stuff out of the cabinet the other day when Mike rearranged it. So you want to make sure when you're using spices that they are fresh and that they are good, because if they're not, it's not going to really do anything to the recipe. So I believe we've got everything in here except the allspice, and we put a little bit more cinnamon in there to make up for that. I'm just going to give this a quick stir and make sure the ingredients are kind of mixed together. Now, one thing about muffins, you don't want to over stir them, because they don't need it. It's kind of like pancakes or flapjacks. You just want to kind of mix the stuff together and make sure the wet ingredients are incorporated with the dry ingredients. And we're fixing to pour the wet ingredients in here now. So you can see that this is just dry stuff. So we're going to pour this in here. I'm not going to use the whisk to stir this together. I'm going to use my spatula here. Get that straight. And these bowls have these pouring spouts, which are really nice. This is all my wet ingredients, and I'm gonna pour these all in here, scrape the bowl, make sure I get everything in here, and get this mixed up in the oven. And then we'll move over to the stove and I'm going to fix something else. These are going to be really good and they're going to smell so good cooking. The cinnamon and the apples and the walnuts. It's going to be a really nice aroma in your kitchen and also out throughout your house. You're going to be able to smell this cooking. So you can see that I just got the ingredients incorporated. I've got get this out of the way. I've got a cup of coarsely chopped apples that I'm putting in here. I don't want them finely chopped. I want you to be able to have some texture. So these are Honeycrisp apples. I like Honeycrisp and I like Cosmic. Now there are lots of apples that you can use. These just happen to be my favorite. For years, all I used was Fuji when I was making my apple pies, and I love Fuji apples. They're very good. They have a good consistency to them, and they tend to be a little bit cheaper than the Honeycrisp or the Cosmic. So any kind, Gala, any kind, there's so many varieties of apples. So you can use whatever you've got on hand. That's what people used to do in the old days. They used what they had. So you'll see that these are kind of big pieces. And then I've got a cup of coarsely chopped walnuts that I'm going to mix in with this. And then we're going to scoop this out and put this in the oven. I've got one pan fixed. I'm not sure that this will, if it makes more than one pan, we'll fix another pan real quick. I've got one over there on standby that we can fix. So I've got my big muffin pan here, and I've got my big scoop. Now this is not a Pampered Chef scoop. Our Pampered Chef scoop, biggest one is 3 tablespoons. This is from Sam's, and oh goodness, it's probably, they come 2 in a package. This is probably at least 1/4 a cup. I don't know, I've never measured it, but I'm just going to do an even scoop of this. And I'm going to put in here. Now this batter is real thick. You'll see that it's real thick. I'm not using muffin liners. You can use them if you like. I use them sometimes. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on whether or not I wanted to get some out. And I knew I had some red ones. I did have some white ones. I ran out of them. I didn't want to use red ones, so I just decided I would just do it in the pan. And they should come out. They should come out fine like this. Now again, if you want to make mini muffins, you're going to adjust your cooking time. Or if you want to make regular muffins, you probably want to watch it. I'm going to put these in the oven, and I'm going to set the timer for 18 minutes. I think they're going to need to cook about 20 or 22, but I'm going to check them at 18. So I'm going to put these in the oven real quick. And I'm going to get another pan ready. This is a little bit different pan. I don't have one pan like that. So I'm not sure how many I'm going to need, so I sprayed 4 of these. Let's see how many I need here. I may have to take a muffin to somebody today. I got tea cakes and I've still got unbaked chocolate cookies. I'm going to need to do something with some of this stuff I've got. I'm like Mary now. I'm going to be having to go around the neighborhood and deliver some goodies, I guess. Okay, let's see how much of this batter we've got left. I think it might be enough for another one. So let me spray one more well here. We want to get these in the oven about the same time. Yeah, it's gonna be just about the same amount that's in the other ones. That will change cooking time if you've got different size muffins. So it's kind of important that they're pretty much all the same. That's why I like to use the scoops. If you're using oh, I forgot my crumble. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot my crumble on those others. Let me grab it out of the oven real quick. It's just started cooking. It's gonna be okay. And I'm gonna get the crumble and put it on top of the muffin. I'm sure glad I noticed that before this was in there very long, because that crumble is going to be delicious. But like Mike, he made potato salad one time and got our plates fixed for supper, and most of the time I don't even know what he's cooking, so I don't, I'm not really know if something's missing from the plate. And the next day he goes, opens the refrigerator or something, there's our potato salad. But we ate it. It was good the next day, but it bothered him because he made that for supper and we didn't get to eat any of it that night. Okay, I'm just lightly pressing this down in there, and I'm going to get this back in the oven real quick, that you can see that okay, now we'll get the rest of this on these. These may get a little bit more than those others did. You want to just lightly press this in here, just kind of, so it kind of cooks. There's some on top, but it still kind of cooks down in the muffin too. Got just a little bit left, but this was a generous portion for these cupcakes. A lot of times if you buy cupcakes at a bakery or like in the mall or something, there's not a lot of topping on them, and I like a lot of topping, so that's 5. So this recipe made 11 big cupcakes, so I would say that it would probably make about 12.5 regular ones. And give me just a second, let me get my hands washed. And I'm going to move the camera, and I hope I don't mess up anything. But I'm going to move the camera over here. And I don't think it's necessary if you see me. I do want you to see what I'm doing, so I'm going to try to keep that to where the cooking is in the picture. And I'm not, or at least it's not necessary that I be in it. I'm noisy. So, I'm going to make some, I'm going to turn this on here. I'm going to make some bacon and grilled cheese sandwiches using my grill pan here. And this is going to be our lunch. Or late breakfast, whatever you want to call it. When I'm just cooking just a few pieces of bacon, I cook them in the microwave. And it just takes just a few minutes. You just have to watch them a little bit. I'll show you how I do it. But I just need just a few slices. So I use these big paper plates, and some of y'all might think I'm wasting, I don't know, but they're really handy for something like this, and it doesn't splatter on your microwave. So I'm just going to do probably about 4 or 5 slices, and I'm going to put a paper plate on top. I've only got 3 slices of bread, but the bread's really big, so it's going to be plenty enough bread. So I just got them like that. I'm going to put another paper towel on top, a paper plate on top, and I'm going to set the oven, microwave, I'm going to cook it like 2 minutes and 25 seconds. and then I'll take it out and turn it and cook it a little bit more until it gets crisp. I want it crisp. So let me put my bacon up, and I'll show you the bread that I use. So when you're used to working with your sister and you're used to having a system going on, it's a little bit different when you're working by yourself, because you've got to try to remember everything, in which you see I didn't remember to put that crumb topping on, but at least I did think about it, so it's not a disaster. The thing about being in the kitchen and cooking, nothing's ever going to be perfect. You know, you might like to think it's going to be, but you're always going to have a challenge or something, so don't fret about it. Don't worry about it if something doesn't go wrong, or you see something right at the last minute that you don't have an ingredient. Don't worry about that either, because like Mary often does, you can always improvise. You see these slices of bread, they're really big. This is that rustic oven. I try to keep a loaf of this in the freezer. It freezes well. And I'm going to use my spreader here, and it's peppered chef. And I'm going to spread both. Let me just put some paper towel down. I'm going to spread both sides of all three pieces. These are huge. This is actually like one sandwich. Just one slice of bread is like one sandwich. So I just lay them down like that. I hear my bacon popping. Mama didn't buy regular bacon like we buy today. She bought bacon ends because that was what was cheapest, and that's what she could afford. So if she didn't have fresh bacon in the freezer from when a hog was killed in the fall, then she bought bacon ends. She bought it at Prudham's, which is our little mom and pop grocery store there on Douglas Highway. And a lot of times on Facebook, people will talk about Prudham's because it was such a fixture in Nacogdoches community. And my granddaddy would sometimes pay my brothers or sisters 2 or 3 times a day to take him to Prudham's. And he would give them, he kept Cokes. He called them Coca-Colas, those little big bottles. And you can see this bacon is not done, so I'm just gonna turn it, and then I'm gonna put it back in there and cook it a little bit more. He would usually give them like 4 bits, which is 50 cents. That's what he usually give them to take him over there. It was just like probably a couple of miles from the house, and it wasn't that he had to pay them, but he liked to pay them, and of course they like to be paid. And he always bought them a Coca-Cola while he was there, and it was like them little 8-ounce bottles, and he could drink one in one swallow. It was like a swallow to him. He'd hold that bottle up and drink it until it was all gone, and have such fond memories of Pinkerball buying those Cokes and going to Prudham's. And my brothers and sisters, I'm only going to be able to do 2 pieces in there because the spread is so big. So I'll just do the one sandwich. Do that other piece later. So we're going to, you'll see how this works. I'm going to actually put the grill press on it. Turn my burner down just a little bit. The bacon is almost ready. Get something to drain it. Don't want this to get too hot. So we would, in the fall, Edward and I picked up chinky pins. We had chinky pins. We had a chinky pin tree on the end of the house between our house and Pinky Paws. We had one in the back pasture, and then there was one right across the street, a little short one. The one by the house was one of the real tall ones, and the one down in the pasture was one of the real tall ones. And on a cold fall morning, or early winter morning, after the wind had blown real hard all night, the cheeky pins would fall on the ground. And Edward and I, before school, we'd get dressed, and before school was out, before school started, before we left to go to school, we would go out there and pick up chinky pins. And we sold those chinky pins to Mr. Prudham. He kept a gallon jug on the counter. And we go, every time we go in there, Mr. Prudham, you need some more chinky pins? And we always had some with us. And I don't know what we got for him. It wasn't much, but it was a way that we got extra money. And we were quite the salesman. We loved to sell chinky pins to Mr. Prudham. And you can see how beautiful this bread is. It just toasts so nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cheese on here. And I'm going to see how pretty the bacon cooks up nice and crisp. I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to put some bacon on here. Probably a couple pieces per end. And then put this on here. Move this back over in the center and put this back on it. And I'm turning that down to 3. So you'll see what a beautiful sandwich that makes. Now you got your bacon grease left. If you want to save this, you can. If you don't, you can just toss it. It's you got probably a couple of tablespoons out of those 5 slices. So let me get a nice little plate here. I'll just put it on a regular plate. Now, when we was growing up, y'all know that Mary liked inside stuff, and I've never been an outside person, but I did do a lot of work in the truck patches when I was a kid. I picked butter beans for Pinky Paul. We shell beans and peas sitting on the porch after we'd come in from the field. We'd always go to the field, like he'd have his wagon hitched up probably by 4:30. I mean, and if you wasn't out there, he'd leave you. I mean, it's everybody in our family has always been, you know, you need to be on time, because that's how we grew up. And he'd have that wagon pitch hooked up and ready to go. And he'd tell us the night before, Edward, Earl, Linda Faye, y'all want to go? You better be out here. I'll be leaving at 4:30. And we would be out there and crawl on that wagon. We'd be in the field working sometimes before daylight, and we'd work till it got hot. Then we'd come back and we'd sit on the porch, Pinky Paul would drink coffee, and we'd shell peas and beans. And he kept a little stand out there in the front of his house, close to the road, with the sign where he sold peas and beans and tomatoes and squash and cantaloupe and watermelon, okra, just anything that he growed, potatoes, he sold it out there, and people would stop and get it. And so many happy memories of us sitting out there listening to Pinky Paul tell stories while we were out there working, sitting on the porch working. It really wasn't even work to us. We enjoyed it so much. So, whew, that is hot. I'm going to turn the burner off and just leave it in the skillet a minute or two. You can see that I only use 4 pieces of bacon. Sometimes if I fry a couple of extra pieces of bacon or cook a couple of extra pieces of bacon, I'll just stick them in the refrigerator, and maybe, we're having something that we can crumble the bacon on, put on top of it or something. So we usually keep a piece or 2 cooked in the refrigerator for stuff like that. But Mary, she liked to be in the house. She liked to babysit. She liked to babysit real kids, not dolls. And if I had any spare time, and I wasn't shelling beans or peas or picking them, then I was out at Pinky Paul's banging on the piano. And that's what, everybody called it, was banging, because I literally learned how to play on her piano just by sitting at it, picking out the notes. And some really, really happy times that we had doing that. Okay, let me get a knife out. And don't know what happened. I've got everything hooked up right, but for some reason it beeped off for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and take this up. It's hot. What I was saying when it went off is, a lot of people ask me, I need something else besides those tongs, ask me what my favorite knife is. This is the Santoku. It's 5-inch knife. It has a good feel to my hand because my hands are small. We also have this in the coated knife too. Let me get a spatula out of here instead of using these tongs. That's just not quite big enough. So this is a big sandwich, and I'm going to put it on the plate. Move this back. I got my burner off. You can see the sandwich covers almost the entire plate. So I'm just going to cut it. These are really, really good sandwich. You've got melty cheese, and you've got crispy bacon, and this good dense bread that's been toasted. It's just a delicious sandwich, and it's something that's quick to fix. And like I said, if you don't want to go through the process of frying bacon on the stove, my husband fries great bacon. He makes it beautiful. And I always say there's a certain brand bacon that I like because it fries better than some of the other brands do. You can't always get it, but we like Oscar Mayer center cut. But if you fry it do it in the microwave, you have to watch it now because you can burn it very easily. But I know about how long to cook it. And a lot of people cook it in the oven. I've never cooked it in the oven, but a lot of people do. And but there's several different ways you can do it. But this is a quick way to do it, to make a sandwich that's can be ready really quick. So we still got about 3 minutes before we need to check on the muffins. Actually, I think I may go ahead and check on that first pan because it was put in there a little bit before the other one was. I know I took it out a minute, but I'm just going to check it. I don't want to over bake them. Oh, those are looking really good. And they're actually, let me check these. I think these may be done. Let me get my little cake tester out. I don't know if y'all have seen these. I've given some of these away. It's our Pampered Chef cake tester. So I'm going to test this and see. It's done. These are done. So I'm going to let them set a little bit before I take them out of the pan. But I've still got that other one in the oven baking. There's my other pot holder. But I want to show you how pretty they are. They're brown. They're nice and brown around the edges. You can see that beautiful crumb topping on them. And I'll try to take a picture of these on a platter a little bit when I take them out and they're cool, and I'll post them. But those look really good and they smell delicious. So I'm going to move these off the heat and let them cool a little bit, and let the others finish baking. And I don't know who, but somebody's going to get some cupcakes today, or some muffins. They're not cupcakes, they're muffins. So I sure have missed Mary today. I know she really wished she could have been on, and it was very difficult for her to make the decision not to be. But the most important thing is for her to get to feeling better. And so we appreciate your prayers, and she'll get better. She just needs a little time to rest. She's worn out from everything she's done the last week or two. I have printed invoices through August the 2nd. So from July the 20th through August the 2nd, your cookbooks were mailed or are being mailed this week. There's been a couple that I've mailed something that somehow or another fell through the cracks or something. Just a reminder, don't wait a month or 2 months to ask us about your order. If you haven't got it, we need to know right away, because we've spent a lot of money resending stuff. I think we've sent some cookbooks 3 times. I went to the UPS shipping the other day, and this was from my giveaways on my other page, and I spent almost $200 just sending out prizes. So we love to do this, and we like to send them, but we don't want to send stuff twice. So if you haven't received your order from Pinky Malls, I would say within 2 weeks after you've sent it, contact us. Send us a message, text us, send us an email. All that information is on our page. We may not take the phone call when you call, but if you'll contact us, we will get back to you. So, and we're so excited about our new website. We are really trying to get that up so many ask us every day, and especially our new viewers, where are the recipes? And it takes us a lot of time to go back and answer those questions when we let y'all know on the videos that we are not posting the recipes right now. There is a reason for that. Mary and I both have spent literally hours doing that in the past. So we quit even when they were posted. So we quit posting them. But this new website, you are going to have access to the recipes. They will be accessible. So, and there'll also be pictures with them. So there is a lot going on behind the scenes. And we're working really hard. It may not seem like it, but we are working really hard to get this to make it easier and hopefully better for everybody. And I hear my buzzer going, so let me check these muffins. Those aren't quite done yet, so I'm gonna cook them about another 3 minutes. And remember, when you're cooking muffins, don't overbake them, because you do not want them to be dry. They'll dry out, and you don't want them to be dry. I'm gonna see if I can get one of these out real quick and show you. We'll see if it works. I'm gonna use my spreader here. See how easy they came out? So I won't have to do pictures. There you have a beautiful golden muffin. It just slipped right out of the pan. And so here is lunch or breakfast. We've got a nice sandwich and a nice muffin to enjoy with it. So I hope y'all have enjoyed my program today. I know it's not the same without Mary, but I think it was fun, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Count your blessings. God's been so good to all of us. There's a song that I used to sing, is God is so good to me, I can't complain. I'm sure a lot of y'all know that. But hopefully Mary will be back with us soon. We will determine that from time to time, from day to day, when she comes back to be with us. But more than likely it'll be next week. But we just want her to get to feeling better. So thank you again. We love y'all. God bless you. And we thank you so much for your love and support, for all the orders, for all the Pampered Chef orders, for everything you do. Don't forget to go to our other pages. So have a great day. Count your blessings. Bye.